Born from a hard-learned lesson in a 30% per month hyperinflation Brazilian economy. It was the 80s, and I was just a freshly minted 16-year-old. I had received a Rotary International Exchange Student Scholarship, and would call São Paulo, Brazil, my home for the next 14 months. Little did I know what I was in for. My first impression of Brazil was entering the international airport and seeing the federal police armed with Uzis. Bem-vindo, gringo. Welcome to Brazil. In the 80s, Brazil was briefly run by the military. While I was living there, they were deep in the middle of hyperinflation, with rates hitting 20% and 30% a month. No, that's not a typo. 30% inflation a month. That sends economies into a tailspin fast. But in this chaos, I learned the secret to wealth accumulation from my host family father, Benedito Maximo di Conico, or just Maximo, as everyone called him. He taught me to steal myself wealthy. Maximo has 3 children, and he had bought each of them a franchise in Brazil's most popular beauty and fragrance company. They were in their 20s and ran the stores, but he ran the books for them. After attending their monthly franchise meeting in São Paulo one day, they all came back and called out to their father, "Maximo, what is going on? All of the other franchise owners are on the verge of going out of business, unable to meet payroll and about to close their doors. How are we still in business?" And that's when he let them in on the dark truth of what he had been doing. He replied, "Because I've been stealing from you." All of his children and me as well looked at him mesmerized as he began to explain himself. Each day for the past several years, when closing out the books for the day, he would collect the daily take from all 3 of the stores and then deposit it at the bank. In fact, I had gone on many of these daily deposit runs with him and his driver or bodyguard who always accompanied us. But he always made a detour on the way home, and I never understood it until now. He explained that, every day, he would steal a little off the top from each of the stores. On some days, when the take was low, he would only swipe 5% or so. However, on other days that had a big take, he would lift 10% or even 20%. Then, he would take that money to the local travel agency and use it to steal himself wealthy. How? Simple. He would convert that money into US dollars. You see, in the 80s in Brazil, with hyperinflation, the US dollar was the best way to accumulate wealth. The dollar was strong, and their money was super weak. So, he would take some of the profits out of his stores, convert them to dollars, and sock them away for a rainy day. He had been stealing from the till for years now, and none of his kids were any the wiser. No one knew it, but he wasn't stealing from them. He was stealing for them. He was socking that money away as a hedge for the businesses, and now, when inflation had peaked, and the entire country was suffering, he was able to tap into those reserves and survive when others were failing. For several months, he had been dipping into those US dollar reserves, converting them back into local currency, and depositing the money back into the bank to meet payroll. He had single-handedly kept all 3 stores afloat during this hyperinflation period that saw massive corporate failures, because he had been stealing them wealthy all along. I could go on and on about the lessons learned from Maximo, but this one lesson was the most important of all.